Hello there, and welcome to this week's edition of Creative Critique, a week in which an absolute colossal film has appeared on my horizon, as it has many others. It is, of course, Avengers Age of Ultron. Where do we begin? Where do we begin with this? Well, I'm going to start off by saying that I will not be describing many of the plot elements of the film, and I fear I would spoil moments and details of the film which others will want to discover in their own time. So I will be describing my thoughts about the film, particular performances, particular moments, if I can speak about them, and we will go with that. We will go with that because I don't want to spoil it for anybody at all. So, where do we begin? Well, I've got to start talking about how difficult this film possibly was to follow up, given the recent amount of films that Marvel have made. I'm going to talk about, first of all, the sequel to The Avengers, which I and many others had many doubts about before it appeared in our cinemas 3 years ago. Justifiably, but they proved all the doubters wrong in being able to manage and make a witty, funny, exciting, thrilling comedy blockbuster. And I say comedy blockbuster because there were so many comedic elements in that film. The blend of characters, the amount of characters they managed to, characters and egos they managed to get on screen together and not overshadow each other. Each character had their own moments in the sun, so on and so forth. So after me just mentioning about characters having moments in the sun, I will actually start off by talking about Hawkeye and Jeremy Renner in this film. And the reason why I'm starting off with his character in particular, is because I think it's fair to say that he got a bit of a bad rap in the first Avengers film because of, well, we all know what happened there. He comes on the scene, he gets took over by Loki, and for about 3/4 of the film he's under his spell. Not being able to do, well, Hawkeye stuff, really. So I think Jeremy Renner also spoke out of that around that sort of time that he was a little bit disappointed he didn't get more to do. Well, he has more to do, definitely in this film, and his character is explored a lot more, without a doubt. And it must be said, he has many of the witty one-liners this time round. It's not all left to Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark, or Captain America. So Jeremy Renner gets a good look in, and Hawkeye gets a good look in this film. Good stuff going on with him. I'm going to mention the new additions to the cast. We were talking about Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch and Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver. They are, of course, siblings who have been genetically enhanced after tests by Hydra officials. He has superhuman speed. She has the ability of, it's like telekinesis and being able to mess with people's minds in a way, which is really interesting and it looked wonderful on screen seeing that happen, and her messing effectively with Thor and with Black Widow and Captain America and so on, so forth. So a very interesting character. Aaron Taylor Johnson, always good fun. Very nice, very good. But I think it's Elizabeth Olsen who catches the attention a bit more and is definitely more memorable. So for that, yeah, good work introducing her, and we'll see what happens in the future. So yeah, the film effectively opens with a set piece with them all together, which was obviously a lot different from how the first film began. And it's interesting because obviously everybody's now together. And it's them dealing with them, being able to deal with each other as a team properly and efficiently this time around. Extremely interesting dynamic between Bruce Banner and Black Widow. Really interesting. you saw little signs of it. I won't say big details of it, but you saw signs. You did see tiny, probably signs of it in the first Avengers film. but here they explored to an absolute max. Well, I say max. It's upped. The intensity is upped. It's fair to say. So, yeah, and also I will comment. I like to comment upon everybody's saying that Mark Ruffalo is wonderful. He is absolutely wonderful, and by far have they got finally. Well, we said this about the previous Avengers film, but they have got the Hulk right. They have got the character of the Hulk right. And Mark Ruffalo brings an absolute humanity to that role, and it's something I've mentioned previously in regards to why I believe the Hulk is without doubt the most monstrous of the characters, yet he is in the same breath the most human, and you feel more of a connection with him because you feel his pain. So that's why there's more of a connection, I think, with him than maybe some of the other characters. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, Matt Ruffalo is wonderful again. Scarlett Johansson is always a breath of fresh air. Always a breath of fresh air. Great fun. Well, I just keep talking about Robert Downey Jr. because Robert Downey Jr. just keeps on going and going and going, and he just. It's never a pleasure to see him engage with characters. His talking about Black Widow's relationship with Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Robert Downey Tony Stark's relationship with Bruce Banner is wonderful. You enjoy watching them have conversations. It's really entertaining, and you see it's almost a Jekyll and Hyde sort of dynamic going on with them, almost with Tony Stark sort of dragging Bruce Banner along a little bit. And there's reasons why I mentioned that about that in this film that had to do with the plot, but you can watch that and see that for yourself. So, yeah, and obviously you have Dudley Do Right, Captain America, Chris Evans. He is, without doubt, the most po-faced and the most straight-faced of all the characters. But because of his utter dynamic relationship with... He is the absolute antithesis of Tony Stark. And once again, another combination of characters working extremely well together. Oh, I can't stop talking about this too much. I'm going to keep on going and going and going. Yeah, once again, the conversations are wonderful between all the characters. Relationships are explored a lot more, which obviously we'll find out a lot more. I think we all know with future Avengers film and future Captain America films and so on and so forth. You can see the seeds being planted. There's lots of obviously things being laid there for people who know their Marvel stuff. I'm not an absolute Marvel buff, but there's little things I noticed and I've been informed of other things that's going on, which is really, really well played again. Many characters get a nice look in. The likes of I'm had a little mind blank. Anthony Mackie makes an appearance. Don Cheadle is on hand. Obviously, Idris Elba makes a good appearance. I really like it. I always enjoy watching Idris Elba. I've not even mentioned Ultron. James Spader, perfect, absolutely perfect for the role. His voice is just so... He just reeks of authority and menace. Yeah, he's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. There's obviously always nice to see Samuel Jackson pop up. I won't say what capacity, but he pops up and has a good little conversation with a couple of Avengers. Yep. What shall I go? You know what? Probably comparing it to the last Avengers film, it's probably not quite as funny. There's not as many one-liners. There's a little bit more intensity to some of the characters. Maybe it's the fact because some of the characters are being explored a bit more. There's less time for a bit of humour. Like I said, the humour that is brought is mainly I personally thought was in the form of Hawkeye and Jeremy Renner, which was nice and for him and his character. So yeah, there's obviously quite a few battles in this film. There's an opening one where I must say when I was watching it I was a bit okay. It's decent. It's okay. Then there was a sort of one involving two characters. That's really good. But then with the final third absolutely, how do yeah, the third act finale action sequence is just wonderful. It's so intricate. It's so delicately planned. It's wonderful. So the action's on top. The humour, when it is on show, is there. There's a bit more character development. It's fair to say. Some of these characters have grown in their own films since the last film. Obviously, Iron Man 3 and Captain America: Winter Soldier, so on and so forth. So, yeah, there's lots of good stuff on show. It's a little bit like I just said before. There's shades of dark and more dark stuff, but it's not. It's not the complete darker sequel that some people have said it is. There's definitely shades of it, but I still think there's enough fun and enough bombastic action and spectacular scenes that work, without doubt. It was always going to be difficult doing this sort of film because and especially after Guardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was fabulous, introducing me to a whole new load of characters. Whereas again here you were being introduced again to a lot of characters, so there's always a lot of difficulties with this sort of film. But yeah, I'm going to stop talking because I've gone on for 11 minutes about this film, and I don't think I've really said much about it. You will go see this film. You don't really need to tell me to recommend it to you. You will go and see this film. So yeah, that was Avengers: Age of Ultron. Extremely enjoyable. Good load of fun in the cinema. I will now go on to my classic, and when I say classic, there probably has been no stronger meaning of this word for this film. It is, of course, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. And I thought in a week where there was a sequel to one of the biggest films ever made, I felt it only right that the classic film should also be a sequel to one of the biggest films ever made. And of course, there's a link there also being the fact that they are both now owned by Disney in the last 6 years or so. They've both been acquired by Disney, so the links just keep on coming. But yeah, right. When I obviously briefly said about the Avengers: Age of Ultron, that there were shades of darkness, but not completely dark. This is where you say this is a darker film to A New Hope, and that is why it is in many aspects perceived better. Star Wars is absolutely fantastic, but there again in this film there's character development between Han and Leia. You can almost make some sort of comparison there to Bruce Banner and Black Widow, but it's not exactly the same. But there's sort of a little link there. There's more going on with there's new introductions, obviously, in this film, as we all know. There was a new introduction, and essentially the film could have lived or died on. It's been mentioned it could have lived or died on this moment. It was the introduction of Yoda, the Jedi Master, because the puppetry in this film is absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal? Phenomenal? I can't say the bloody word. Fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Brian Cars does some outstanding puppetry work and voice work because you believe that puppet is a character and a real living thing. I don't care what age you've seen this film, you believe that character from when he's engaging with Luke in his training, or when he's engaging in a fight and hitting R2-D2 with his little stick. You believe, and there's so many moments with Yoda that are just absolutely wonderful. Again, Harrison Ford is just absolute ton of fun and is just ultimate badass. Fantastic moments. I don't need to really describe much of this film because once again most people have seen this film and know about them. Phenomenal moments from going into the asteroid, from Luke's training, going up into the Cloud City, the introduction of Lando Calrissian, Billy D. Williams. You've never met a cooler guy than Billy D. Williams, have you? Ever? Never. He's just one cool dude. But yeah, good character introduction there. And once again, David Prowse and James Earl Jones doing an absolute wonderful, menacing Darth Vader. And that final fight sequence, obviously towards the end, is a devastating scene. You've never seen. I don't think there's many more devastating scenes and heavy scenes in sort of blockbustery sci-fi sort of film. It's very family orientated. That is a heavy scene to discover that, and that's then to happen, and then his decision to effectively, to I'd rather die. I'd rather die than contemplate the fact that you are my father and even come close to you. That is a devastatingly powerful scene. I don't think there's much more on that point I could say because it is wonderful. Once again, John Williams does an absolute stand-up job of the score. Kenny Baker and Nancy Daniels are wonderful interplay once again. I just can't stop praising this film. I should find something negative to talk about, but there isn't. There just isn't. The puppetry is wonderful. The special effects are wonderful. The stop motion stuff with the is it the AT-ATs at the beginning on the ice planet? I can't remember. It's Hoth, isn't it? Yeah. Great work again. It's just a fantastic film, and it felt only relevant that I talk about this film in this week of a massive sequel also, because this is the moment now. Because I don't like to compare. I shouldn't really compare the two series or franchises, if you will, because there is interlaying films in between all these Marvel films. But it'd be interesting now where they go from here, because this is a big moment in the Avengers series in terms of particular characters. In between this and the next Avengers film, there's going to be a lot of changes for probably people who know, and I think it should be. I think it turns even people who don't know. I think they can't expect every single one of these characters to keep on going. So there's going to be massive changes, and it was interesting, obviously, how Return of the Jedi went in terms of its development. Slightly backwards, so we'll see. Still good Jedi, but it went slightly backwards. We'll see how the next few Avengers films go and how the interlaying films play out. But yeah, what can I say? Empire Strikes Back, true classic of the word. Effects wonderful, music wonderful, performances wonderful, humour wonderful. Dramatic scenes are fabulous. The funny scenes are extremely funny. Yeah, an absolute classic and absolutely outstanding film. So this is a fantastic week of films that I've seen. Avengers Age of Ultron. Make up your own mind, but you're going to go see it. You're going to go see it no matter what I say. It's an absolute joy to watch. Yeah. Go watch it. It's fantastic. It's great. Really fun. Great fun. It's a great family fun film. And Empire Strikes Back. I might as well just echo the same sentiments that I just did there. So yeah, family fun film to a point where it gets a bit more heavy. But yeah, outstanding film. And I'm going to end it there because I'm just sick of praising all these films at this moment in time. So yeah, there we go. Those were my films of the week. I hope you enjoyed me talking about these films. If you did, please subscribe to me. And I hopefully will see you in my next couple of film reviews. Thank you again for watching, and goodbye.